Hi, this is Ivan O'Mara here. Today I'm going to be talking about, I'm just testing out this video. As you can see, I bought my board here. You can see my board right here. So today I'm going to be talking about, I don't know if you can see this. Let me just adjust this camera here. See it better. A second. So today, you can see my board. I'm going to be talking about the concert arts I want to bring on board for my last Hofer Zane's movie. And then I'm also going to talk about the payment structure for my company. So I bought my board. You can see my board in the background here. I got my marker and I got my eraser. So first, I'm going to talk about the payment structure for my company. Right? So payment structure. For my Skive source company. Me and my wife's company. You guys see that? Right? You can see it pretty well. Paying for my Scott's company. So first, you have the B-list actors. You have the B-listers. You have the rising stars. And you have the smaller A-listers and bigger A-listers. I don't know if you guys can see that, right? So, you have the B-list actors. So the B-list actors are what? The B-list actors are what? They're the television stars, obviously. So the television stars. Television stars. They're the television stars, and they're the what? They're the television stars. So if you see, you'll know someone's a B-list actor if you see him as a television star, like on a CW show, HBO Max, you know what I'm saying, Fox Television. Those are B-list actors. You don't see them on the big screen, and if you do see them on the big screen, chances are they landed a minor role in the movie. That's a B-list actor. At the same time, you'll see them doing, you'll see them as a major role in an independent film. Those are B-list actors, right? The rising stars are the rare ones. So these ones, I'm going to put this in brackets. They're rare. Rising stars are rare. Rising stars are the lucky few who rose from the B-list rank, and you see them intermingle with the A-list actors. So you'll see them get their own franchise, or you'll see them in a pretty major role with bigger actors in the movie. Their careers are rising. You see them with the A-list actors, but they're not considered A-list actors yet. Those are the rising stars. A perfect example is Dylan O'Brien. Dylan O'Brien, he was a guy, you saw him on Teen Wolf, you saw him on First Time with VJ, right? He did an independent movie with VJ, and all of a sudden he landed his own franchise, his Maze Runner franchise. You saw him in an internship with bigger actors like Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. You also saw him in Deepwater Horizon with Mark Wahlberg. Those are perfect examples of rising stars. You see them intermingle with the A-list actors, and their careers are rising. So a rising star is someone who you'll see him in a television show or an independent movie, and you'll see him land his own franchise or get a pretty major role with a bigger actor. But he or she's not considered a rising star yet. The actor for Star Wars, right, chosen for Zanus, for Tacitonius, he's a perfect example of a rising star. You saw him in Star Wars. He was a B-list actor. You saw him land a big role in Star Wars. You saw him in Pacific Rim. You saw him in The Circle with bigger actors like Emma Watson and Tom Hanks. You know what I'm saying? You saw him in Pacific Rim Rising, whatever it is. Those are perfect examples of what rising stars. Their careers are rising. They're very, very rare. Michael B. Jordan was another perfect example of a rising star, but he rose to the A-list rank, you can pretty much say. Whereas Dylan O'Brien, his career is still rising. Those are the rising stars. You see their career rising, right? Then you have the smaller A-listers. The smaller A-listers are the actors who, in my opinion, are worth that, like, I don't know, 12 million to 60 million range, Those are the actors who are obviously A-list actors. You see them in big budget movies. They don't struggle getting roles, but like they're not as respected as the bigger A-list actors. So the small A-list actors are A-list actors, but they're not as big as the bigger A-list actors. You'll see them in land big budget movie roles, but they don't have that same respect as the A-list actor. There's a good chance a small A-list actor, he may get offered roles, but the studios might have him or her come and read that kind of stuff for the part. Whereas the bigger A-list actors, they don't even have to audition for the roles for most of the time. They just get calls from the studio. Hey, do you want to do this movie? No, I don't want to do this movie. Hey, do you want to do this movie? Yeah, I'll do this movie. They have so much power with the bigger A-listers. That's the difference between the smaller A-lister and the bigger A-lister. They're both A-listers. They're A-listers, but they're smaller. They're smaller ranked A-listers. Right? Then you have the bigger A-listers. The bigger A-listers are the actors who are big in Hollywood, who not struggle with getting roles. Those are actors like Will Smith, Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt. You know what I'm saying? Scarlett Johansson, Samuel Jackson, Liam Neeson, Ben Affleck. You know what I'm saying? Those are perfect examples of bigger A-list actors. The bigger A-list actors, the actors who don't struggle with getting roles, they get calls from the studio. Hey, do you want to do this movie? And they have power to even say, hey, I don't want to do this movie. Hey, you want to do this movie? Yeah, I'll do this movie. They don't even have to come in audition for roles most of the time. Whereas the small A-listers, there's a good chance a lot of them have to come in, even though they can get a lot of roles, there's a good chance they have to come in and read for roles, that kind of stuff. They might even have to compete with each other for roles. Whereas the bigger actors don't have to compete for roles because they're so powerful and they're so highly respected in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? They're very respected in Hollywood. Those are the actors who don't struggle with getting roles. Dwayne Johnson, he's another example of a bigger A-list actor. Robert Downey Jr., those are examples of bigger A-list actors. So I've given you pretty much a general idea of the four ranks of actors in Hollywood. So you have the B-list actors, right, who are television stars or people or independent movie stars or actors who land minor roles in big budget movies. Then you have the rising stars who rose from the B-list rank, and you see them intermingle with the A-list actors. You see them get their own franchise, or they get a pretty major role with bigger actors. They're not considered A-list actors yet. Those are perfect example of rising stars. Again, Dylan O'Brien is a perfect example of a rising star. Their careers are rising. Those are the people who are going to most likely become A-list actors in the future. And then you have the small A-listers are the ones that are A-list actors, but they're not as powerful as the bigger A-list actors. They small A-list actors are guys like, you know what I'm saying, Chris Pratt, Tom Hiddleston, whatever his name is. You know what I'm saying? Those are a perfect example of what? Smaller A-list actors. So smaller A-list actors are powerful, they can get roles, but they're not as respected as the bigger A-list actors, and there's a good chance they might have to compete for roles for some movies, and there's a good chance they might have to come in and read for that kind of stuff. Whereas the bigger A-list actors, they can reject roles as they so please because they're so powerful. The studios will call them up, hey, do you want to do this movie? No, I don't want to do this movie. Hey, you want to do this movie? Yeah, I'll do this movie. They're so powerful that they don't even struggle getting roles. That's the difference between the B-list actors. The small A-list actors don't struggle getting roles, but there's a good chance the studios might have them come and read, and they might have to compete for roles, that kind of stuff. Whereas the bigger A-list actors don't have to compete for roles in a rare case, and they can reject roles as they so please, and they get so many offers offered to them, both from the television companies and from the Hollywood companies. Even the small A-list actors get a lot of offers from television companies, but they all reject them because no one wants to do television. The television, you have no life. As I'm going to keep on saying this, no Hollywood actor wants to do television. As television, you have no life, but the Hollywood actors have no choice. The biggest actors have no choice because that's the only roles they can get. Because they're with the smaller agencies, the only offers they're going to get are television offers. Since they have no choice, they want to find work. They have to what? They have to do television, but no one wants to do television, as you have no life, because television you work like 6-9 months a year and you get like a month and a half off and you got to film your next season. Whereas when you film television and you get paid way less money, in television you make from $900,000 to $500,000, $700,000, $350,000, $2,000. Whereas for television, whereas for film, you can make up to $1 million plus for your movies. Depending on how big you are as an actor, obviously. If you're a rising star, you're bargaining for that $500,000 to $1.5 million range, around the $2 million range. If you're a smaller A-lister, you'll make that you can make that $2+ million range for your movie. But I keep saying this: no actor wants to do television Hollywood because television, you have no life. You have no life in television. So no actor in Hollywood wants to do television because, but these a lot of these actors have no choice because what? Television is the only office that they get from the companies. So they have no choice but to do television, and you get paid way less money, and you have no life. Whereas movies, you have more breathing room. You can do one movie, you get paid a couple $1,000,000. You can take a couple months off and you can film your next movie. You have more breathing room. As every actor's goal in Hollywood is obviously what? To be an A-list actor. So the B-list actor, his goal is to either rise and become an A-list actor, which is very rare. It's very tough for you to rise. Chances are you're going to be a B-list actor for the rest of your life. Or be the lucky chosen few and from the B-list rank and become an A-list actor. So I told you, a guy like Shia LaBeouf, he's a perfect example. He's a perfect example of an actor who was a B-list actor, and you saw the quick transition. He landed Disturbia, and he landed Transformers, and all of a sudden he became big. So remember that? Remember Shia LaBeouf back in Even Stevens? Remember Shia LaBeouf back in iRobot? He had minor roles. Constantine, he had minor roles. He was getting paid like shitty money. And all of a sudden he landed Disturbia, he landed Transformers, all of a sudden he became big. And you saw him you saw him doing all these big budget movies all of a sudden. He's a perfect example of the lucky chosen few from the B-list rank who became an A-list actor. To be the A-list actors, there's two ways to become an A-list actor. Either you rise from the B-list rank and you become an A-list actor, which is very rare. It's very rare for you to rise. Chances are, if you're a B-list actor, you should stay a B-list actor for the rest of your life. Because I told you, the B-list actors are not iconic actors. They're skilled actors, but they lack iconicness, and a lot of them can't sell their movies well. That's why they're going to stay in television for the rest of their life, right? Whereas the ones who become A-list actors are the ones who either rise to the A-list rank, like Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan was a B-list actor because his career rose, and then he rose to the A-list rank. Now he's an A-list actor. You see him doing all these big budget movies. Whereas Shia LaBeouf was a lucky chosen few from the B-list rank who became an A-list actor. So that's how you become an A-list actor. You become an A-list actor by either rising from the B-list rank, which is very, very rare. Chances are it's not going to happen. It's like there's a 0.001% chance it's going to happen. Or you're the lucky chosen few from the B-list rank and you become an A-list actor, and all of a sudden you become big and you see the quick transition. That's a perfect example of what B-list actors becoming A-list actors. They start off doing independent films. You might see them do some other films. All of a sudden they do a big movie, and all of a sudden they become big and they're A-list actors. That's how you become an A-list actor. And then the small A-list actor becomes an A-list actor by what? Acting in more movies and becoming a bigger name star, right? So you have B-list actors who are television stars, independent movie stars, or the actors who land minor roles in big budget movies. And you have the rising stars who rise from the B-list rank. You see them get their own franchise, or you see them in a big budget movie with bigger actors. Dylan O'Brien's a perfect example of that. Their careers are rising. They're not A-list actors yet, but their careers are rising. And the small A-list are the A-list actors who are A-list actors, but they're not as respected as the bigger A-list actors. They don't struggle getting roles, but there's a good chance they're going to have to compete for the job for some movies. There's a good chance that the schools might have them come and read and that kind of stuff, right? And you have the bigger A-listers. The bigger A-listers are the ones who are very powerful, like Will Smith, Tom Hanks, Keanu Reeves. Those actors are the ones who don't struggle getting roles. The studios can give them a call. Hey, do you want to do this movie? Yeah, I'll do this movie. Hey, you want to do this movie? No, I don't want to do this movie. You know what I'm saying? Those are the perfect examples of of bigger A-list actors. Right? So this is going to be the payment structure for my company. I gave you a general idea for all the 4 ranks of actors. This is going to be my payment structure for me and my wife Skive's company. So the B-list actors will be getting 2 to 4 million. 2 to 4 million, right? 2 to 4 million. So 2 to 4 million. So if an actor is a B-list actor and he's on a CW show or a Fox television show right? Or a Fox television show or independent movie, those actors are going to get that 2 to 4 million. However, most of them are going to get that 2 to 2.5 million range, right? So if it's a guy from the CW, a guy or woman from the CW, I don't know, a guy or woman from the CW, Fox, you know what I'm saying? CW, Fox, CW, Fox, depending on what show they're on. For example, chances are those guys are going to get that 2 to 2.5 million range. Okay? Guys from Fox, chances are he's going to get that 2 to 2.5 million range. If the guy was in a bigger show, for example, like a bigger TV show, example, I don't know, Game of Thrones or The Walking Dead, those guys will make that 3+ million range because they were on a big successful show. See what I'm saying? Right? So if a B-list actor is in my movie, I already chose most of my actors for Zanus, but for Zanus is the exception. For example, the actor for Papyri and Mary, those actors were in Victorious, but because those actors are worth that $2 million for my movie, but because Zanus is 9 months of work, there's exceptions. I'm paying them a bit more money. The actor for Papyri, I'm paying him $4 million because Zanus is a unique story and it's 9 months of work. Whereas all my other movies after Zanus is all 3 months to 3.5 months of work. And so I'm not going to pay, most of these actors are not going to make that $4 million range. That's very rare. The only way I'll pay an actor $4 million is if the guy is pretty big. So if it's a guy from the Game of Thrones, if there's a guy who's a major character in Game of Thrones, I'll pay him that 3+, even 3.5 million range. If it's a guy from The Walking Dead, chances are I'll pay him that 3+ million range because The Walking Dead and Game of Thrones are one of the most successful shows ever made. Game of Thrones is the most successful show ever made, but The Walking Dead was up there too. The Walking Dead was a big show. If any of those actors were in my movie, I'll pay them that 3+ million range. Whereas the guys from the CW, like Arrow, Flash, you know what I'm saying, Supergirl, all those shows, I'm saying Batwoman, Vampire Diaries, if those actors from those movies, from those television shows, those guys are going to make that 2 to 2.5 million range. Right, for Fox, for example, if it's a guy from Gotham, you know what I'm saying, who was in the show Gotham, those guys, you know what I'm saying, if it's an actor from that show, chances are they're going to make that Empire, an actor from Empire, those actors are going to make that 2 to 2.5 million range, which is still a fucking nice salary. Which is a very nice salary, obviously. Right? Because I'm going to keep saying this, 4 million salary is rare for a B-lister. I'm going to keep saying that. $4 million, a $4 million yearly salary is going to be rare for a B-list actor because you got to watch for your budget, as most of them are not worth that. The only way I'll ever pay someone $4 million is if the guy is big, man. If the guy was in Game of Thrones, he's the kind of guy who I'll be willing to pay that 3+ million range, even $4 million range. The guy from The Walking Dead, he's worth that 3+, 3.5, $4 million range because those are big successful shows. Whereas if it's a guy or woman from the CW or Fox, chances are like Lucifer, Lucifer is Fox. Chances are I'll pay those guys like 2.5 million range, which is still a fucking nice salary, obviously. So that's going to be the pay structure. The pay structure for what? For the biggest actors for me, my wife's Sky's company. The rising stars are going to make that $5 to $8 million dollars. Right. So the rising stars again are the actors who you see rise from what? From the B-list rank. You see them in a big budget movie, and you also see them land roles with bigger actors. So, a perfect example of a rising star is Dylan O'Brien. Obviously, you have Dylan O'Brien. You know what I'm saying? There's other actors I can name. I don't know a lot of their names, but I forget that guy. What's that guy's name? That guy. That actor from Supergirl, he landed a role. You saw him in Supergirl, and you saw him land a major role in Mortal Kombat. He's another example of a rising star. Those are the kind of guys who are worth that 5 to 8 million range, obviously. So you have Dylan O'Brien. Dylan O'Brien is a perfect example of a rising star. Obviously, you saw him in Teen Wolf. You saw him in The First Time. He did an independent movie, and all of a sudden he landed in Maze Runner, his own franchise, and you saw him in The Internship with the bigger actors. You also saw him in Deepwater Horizon with Mark Wahlberg, a pretty major role. Those are examples of rising stars. Their careers are rising. You see them rise from what? From the B-list rank. But those guys are very, very rare. Michael B. Jordan's another perfect example, but he's an A-list actor now. He's a perfect example of one of the guys who rose from the B-list rank to the A-list rank. It's very tough for you to rise. It's either you're a B-list actor or you're the lucky chosen few and you become an A-list actor. It's very rare for you to rise. Rising stars are very, very rare. But Dylan O'Brien is a perfect example. I have it here in brackets of a rising star. Obviously, again, most rising stars I'm going to pay that 5 to 6 million range. As 8 million, 7 to 8 million is rare. Now, I told you the actor for Tacitonius for Star Wars. The only reason why I'm paying him 8 million is because again he's a major character for Lasso for Zanus. Again, Tacitonius, Papyri, Cassius, and Tacius. Those are like the 4 major characters for the movie. The 4 major stars, whereas everyone else are supporting roles. They're major supporting roles. They're major characters but supporting, whereas those 4 characters are major. And because Tacitonius is a major character and that actor is a rising star, realistically speaking, he's worth that 5 million for a movie. Because it's 9 months of work, I'm willing to pay him at the high end, which is 8 million. Just like the actor for Papyri, I'm willing to pay him 4 million at the high end because it's 9 months of it's 9 months. It's a lot of work. And Zanus is a unique story. There's exceptions, obviously. So Dylan O'Brien is a perfect example of a rising star. Most of the rising stars are going to make that 5 to 6 million range for my movie. At $7 to $8 million is rare, obviously. But again, the actor for Tacitonius, I'm paying him 8 million because Zanus is a lot of work, and it's 9 months of hard work. Hence why I'm paying him 8 million. There's exceptions, obviously, right? So that's going to be my payment structure for the rising stars. There's other people I can name, but I don't know their names. You have Dylan O'Brien. You have the actor for Star Wars. He's a perfect example of a rising star. You have Daisy Ridley. Daisy Ridley, the woman who was in Star Wars. She's a perfect example of rising stars. You saw her in Star Wars, and you saw her in what? You saw her in that train movie with Johnny Depp, with a bigger actor. She's another example of a rising star. Those are rising stars. They're very, very rare. As either you're a B-list actor or you're an A-list actor. That's how it works in Hollywood. Either you're a B-list actor or you're an A-list actor. As rising stars are the rarity, obviously. The smaller A-listers from my company will be making 9 to 15 million. 9 to 15 million. Again, a perfect example of a smaller A-lister is what? Chris Pratt. Obviously, right? You know what I'm saying? You got Chris Pratt. You got Tom Hiddleston, whatever his name is. I don't know if I'm spelling his name right. I can keep going on. You got Tom Hiddleston. You have what? Who else? There's many other people you can mention as a smaller A-lister. You have Ryan Gosling, right? Those are examples of what? Smaller A-listers. I can keep going on. You have Kate Beckinsale, right? I'm spelling her name wrong. I'm butchering her name, obviously, because I'm spelling her name wrong. I can keep going on. Those are examples of what? Smaller A-listers, right? But I told you, if a small A-lister is in my movie, chances are I'm going to pay. I'll talk about it later on. So Chris Pratt's a perfect example of a small A-lister, but there's a good chance by the time I start Skive, he's going to rise to the bigger A-lister rank. Because the guy's doing 3 franchises. He's doing Jurassic Park, Guardians of the Galaxy. He's also doing Tomorrow War. Tomorrow War was also successful. Yeah, you're welcome. I'm promoting your movie Tomorrow War on Amazon Prime. That was a huge hit. Hence, there's a good chance by the time I start Skive, someone like Chris Pratt will rise to the bigger A-lister rank. He's going to be worth that 70 plus million range. Probably by the time I start what? By the time I start Skive. But these 4 people are perfect examples of what? Of smaller A-listers. Small A-listers are A-listers, but they're not as big as the bigger ones. They're respected in Hollywood. They don't struggle getting roles. There's a good chance they might have to compete for some roles. They might have to come and audition. They don't have the same respect as the bigger A-list actors. Those are the small A-list actors. I guarantee you some actors, oh, Ivan, no. I guarantee you some actors, I'm like, oh my God, Ivan, like, you're right. Yeah. Even though there's A-list actors, there's two ranks of them. There's the smaller ones and there's the bigger ones. The smaller ones, in my opinion, are the guys who are worth that, I don't know, 12 to like 60 million range. The ones who are worth 70 million plus, those are the bigger ones. Right, so the smaller A-listers are going to make 9 to 50 million for my company. But I'm going to keep saying this. The 13 to 15 million range is going to be the rarity, obviously. It's rare, as I'm going to be paying most of them, right? Paying most that 9 to what? 9 to 12 million range. Because you got to watch out for your budget, man. The only way I'll ever pay an actor like 50 million is if the guy is big, man. If it's a guy like Chris Pratt, you know what I'm saying? Someone like him, he's worth that $50 million range. If it's someone like Ian McGregor, he's worth that $50 million range. If it's someone like Tom Hiddleston or Ryan Gosling or Kate Beckinsale, those guys are worth that 9 to 12 million range because they're not as big as the other guys. So you pay them a lot of money, but you have to what? You have to always what? You have to be careful for your budget, obviously. So if you have 5 small A-listers, chances are, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them are going to make that 9.5 million range, 10 million range. One can maybe make 11, and the other one, if he's big, you can pay 13, 14, $50 million. You got to watch for your budget. So the 13 to $50 million range is going to be rare, as I'm going to be paying most of them that 9 to 12 million range. As you got to watch for your budget. And the small A-listers, they do not get bonuses. So no bonuses. They don't get bonuses, whereas the bigger ones get bonuses. I'm going to type in bonuses here. The bigger ones get their bonuses. I'll talk about the bigger actors in a sec. So I hope you guys get an idea of what I'm talking about. I briefly explained the 4 ranks of actors in Hollywood. You have C-list actors, but C-list actors are not Hollywood actors. They're actors who are not in Hollywood. So C-list actors, I'll write it here. The C-list actors, the C-listers, are the unknowns, non-Hollywood actors. Those are the C-list actors. Those are the ones who are not allowed to work for my company, obviously, as I only want Hollywood actors for all my movies. As if you want to get good quality for a movie, you got to hire the best of the best, obviously. Right? 27 minutes. Right? This is going to be an hour video, and I'll be done the video here. So the small A-listers, they're going to be paid at 9 to 50 million. Guys like Chris Pratt, Tom Hiddleston, Ryan Gosling, Kate Beckinsale, there's other people I can mention. I forget their names. You know what I'm saying? Those are perfect examples of what? Small A-listers. Now the bigger A-listers, these are what? These are the special ones, obviously. I'm going to write special here in brackets. So the bigger A-listers are going to be making that 16 to 30 million range for my company, for me and my wife's company. An example of a bigger A-lister is what? You got Keanu Reeves, right? You got Will Smith, right? You got Tom Hanks. You got Chris Hemsworth, right? You got Nicole Kidman. You have Scarlett Johansson, right? These are what? Perfect examples of what? I'm butchering their name. I'm spelling. I probably spelled their name wrong. These are perfect examples of the B-list of the what? The bigger A-list actors. So bigger A-list actors are going to get 16 to $30 million for my company, obviously. I gave you names like Keanu Reeves, Will Smith, Tom Hanks, Chris Hemsworth, Nicole Kidman, Scarlett Johansson. You have Robert Downey Jr., Dwayne Johnson. You have many other actors. Ben Affleck. Those are perfect examples of what? The bigger A-list actors. Right? So the bigger A-list actors, those are the actors. The bigger A-list actors, those are the actors who do not struggle with getting roles. Those are the actors who are powerful, who are very powerful. They don't even have to audition for roles most of the time. The companies call them, hey, do you want to do this movie? Yeah, I'll do this movie. Hey, you want to do this movie? No, I don't want to do this movie. Those are the actors who are very powerful in Hollywood and they have full respect. Those are the bigger A-listers. There's A-list actors in Hollywood, but there's 2 ranks of them. There's the small A-listers and there's the bigger ones. That's how I see it. There's a small A-list actors and there's a bigger A-list actors, obviously. But I'm going to keep saying this, right? I'm running out of rumors. I'm going to erase this here. Okay. Even though there's bigger A-list actors, there's even ranks within the bigger A-list actors. For example, if an actor is worth 70 to 90 million, I'll pay him that 16 to 18 million range, around there. And what? And a 4 to 7 mil bonus, right? If the guy is worth 100 to 200 million range, I will pay him that what? That 19 to like 20, I don't know, 22 million range. And I'll pay him a what? 8 to 14 million bonus. Bonus, right? I'm running out of room here. If the guy is worth 200 million plus, I'll pay him that what? That 23 to 24 million range. And give him a 15 to 20 million bonus. Right? And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to write over here, right? 25 million to 30 million range for what? For the big A-listers is very rare. As the only way I'll pay a big A-lister $25 to $30 million is if I'm only casting one bigger A-lister, because you got to watch for your budget. So $25 to $30 million range for a big A-lister is rare. As the only way I'll ever pay a bigger A-lister $25 to $30 million is if I'm only casting one bigger A-lister. So if I have 5 smaller A-listers and one big A-lister, I can pay that guy even $25 to $30 million. You can pay him a $15 million bonus, $15 to $20 million bonus. That's only if I'm casting what? Only if casting one big actor. Right? I'm going to shut my camera for a sec.